I'll ask Shannon a few questions, and then we'll move on to a Q&A, is the general routine that we're going to go through. The application process, it's really nice and easy if you meet the requirements. However, if you kind of miss out on a few things, you fill in the application form, you more or less are in the school being matched to your profile. So the eligibility, who can apply? Firstly, kind of passport holders from either Ireland, UK, Canada, Australia, USA, or New Zealand. Aged between kind of 20 and 35. However, you can contact an advisor or contact the company if you're older. You would need a TEFL qualification, an official hard copy, your bachelor's degree in a hard copy, and a clean criminal record with a police certificate required. Clean bill of health and physical mental health. You can either contact an advisor if you are taking medication or if you're kind of receiving ongoing treatment. Due to new labor laws, non-native speakers, that does include South Africans, need to provide a C1 in English to apply. However, there is no previous experience required for this internship. Some timeline details. Applications are open now and will close until about the 10th of October. This is because it takes about 3 months to get all the paperwork in order and everything legalized. So it's a nice kind of clean travel. So for our January intake, you would arrive in Hanoi on the 13th of January, 2024 for your orientation, and then you'd actually officially start teaching on Monday, the 22nd of January. The program details, so you would get a monthly salary of about $1,000. Then on completion of your contract, you'd receive an extra $500. You also get the 120-hour TEFL certificate. You'd receive a 30-hour teaching young learners course, teaching English through young yoga and mindfulness course as well, along with lesson planning guide, airport pickup and transfers. You'd have orientation, when the orientation that we mentioned earlier being in Hanoi. It includes kind of living and teaching in Vietnam, introduction to Vietnamese culture and history, Vietnamese lessons and phrase book, a welcome dinner, so you get to kind of know everyone, and really just to kind of not only acclimatize yourself to kind of being abroad, but being in Vietnam and being a TEFL teacher abroad. You also receive rent-free accommodation, ongoing in-country support, and even though the kind of legalization that I mentioned earlier, you would also get some support from us and from our partners, and also the Vietnamese language lessons that I mentioned earlier. So, Shannon, first question, why did you choose an internship experience rather than a job?
Sure. So when I was coming over to Vietnam and before here, South Korea, it was really important to me that I had a legitimate company helping me go and not just trying to figure it out on my own. You hear all these horror stories of people going abroad and they get this job and it's awful and their housing is awful. And I didn't want that to happen. So I decided to go through the TEFL Institute so that I knew the job would be legitimate and it would be good. And if there were any troubles with that, I have a support system there to help me. I knew the housing would be good. And if there were any troubles, there's a support system there. Things like the orientation week, which helps you settle in. All of those things were so important to me. And then the internship part, moving to another country can be really scary. It's wonderful, but especially if you're going alone, it can be a little scary. And so having to sign on for a year or 2-year contract and try to do everything by yourself is very daunting. Whereas the 5-month internship, you go, you experience it. If you love it, you can stay on longer and extend your contract. And if you decide that you don't, that's okay. You're done, you're finished, and you have support to help move on to whatever you want to do next, whether you want to try a new country or teach online or go back home. You have your TEFL for life, and the TEFL Institute will help support you through all of that. So that's kind of why I chose to go this route versus just finding a job myself. And I 100% would do it again the same way every single time.
I think the support part is really important, kind of as a main difference. And nearly at times that we have people come in and there's nearly like, who do I get support from? Do I get it from the partners, from the company? And sometimes it's both. I'll
Yeah,
say it's everywhere.
mine is
Um,
both. So
yeah, I'll say, oh, I have an issue with my accommodation. Who do I talk to? Anyone. We're there. We have you. Don't worry about it. Um, yeah, so glad you brought that up. How long have you been living and teaching in Vietnam at this stage?
I've been in Vietnam 10 months now. So I came over on a 1 year internship, which is slightly different than the current one. But I had already done a year in South Korea, so I was confident I could do another year. And I'm loving it so much that I'm probably going to extend for another 1 or 2 years, to be honest, just because it's fantastic. Um, so yeah, been here about 10 months. December will be my 1 year teaching, but I came in November of 2022 and did the orientation week, which was incredible. It was so, so valuable. And we're still friends with people that we met during that week. We still talk to the coordinators. It was so helpful in getting settled.
Great. I can't believe it's going to be a year in December.
I
That's
know. I know
crazy.
it's flying by, honestly.
What do you love most about the Vietnamese culture?
So that's a little bit tricky because there's a lot. But what I really like here, it's very, very laid back. And I don't know if it's just because I came from Korea where things are not laid back, things are very much in line. Everything here is very flexible, very relaxed. People just want to like enjoy life and have a good time, and important things are still done on time, but there's a lot less stress and that daily hustle and bustle to get places, be here, do this, do this. People here just relax, and it kind of teaches you to just go with the flow and everything's going to be all right. And those little things we stress about so much back home, they don't matter. Everything's going to be okay. So I've really enjoyed kind of settling into that lifestyle, and like having a coconut in the morning. I go for a coconut break. I think that's fantastic. And leisurely walking to work, because it's not like, oh my gosh, I have to do an hour commute on a subway and get here and get there. And it's just a much more relaxed lifestyle here.
A bit more working to live rather than living to work,
Yes,
and a bit,
definitely.
and definitely a few more coconuts.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So how was your first few months teaching? Any advice for new teachers with kind of no experience at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started, I started in South Korea. I had no experience. I had worked in childcare as like a babysitter and a nanny, but I didn't have any teaching experience. But I did the 180-hour level 5 TEFL course, and I found it really, really prepared me, especially in lesson planning, because I hadn't a clue. I didn't know what I was doing at all. But what I learned through the TEFL course, I was actually able to apply it in class, and it really in Vietnam. So as I mentioned, Vietnam's really laid back, and at least where I'm working, we have total freedom over our class. So you have 2 hour class, you have the book pages that need to be done, but it's up to you as the teacher, what order you want to teach things, what games you want to play, how you want to engage the students. And so I go back to my TEFL course all the time and look at lesson planning and that whole section on lesson planning and activities and what order to do things, and making sure we have receptive activities and productive and the PPP method and everything you learn. That has been so helpful, because in the beginning, you're not going to know what you're doing. It's okay. They're kids. They don't know either, right? So using your TEFL and being able to structure a lesson, even if it goes totally sideways, it's okay. And you start to figure it out as you go. I'd say the hardest thing getting used to is lesson planning time, because at least where I work, anything administrative is not counted as your teaching hours. So I do 20 teaching hours a week, but administrative tasks are extra. That includes lesson planning. And when I first started, my first few months here, I was probably spending an hour per class lesson planning, which is a long time, but I needed to get the flow and understand what I was doing. And now it takes me 10, 15 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. I know what I'm doing. I can do it much faster, much easier. I can adapt things on the fly much easier. So I would say if you don't have experience, don't worry. Don't worry at all. Your TEFL course will prepare you. You can always go back and look at it. And at the end of the day, they're kids. So if you're teaching children, as long as you're having fun, you're engaging, you enjoy being there, they're going to enjoy being there. And you're able to just kind of make it work and make it your own. Same with adults, right? Anything, if you enjoy it, they're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and
So
nearly not be afraid
go
of
for it.
and nearly not be afraid of how long that initial lesson planning is going to take.
Yeah,
It'll always take that time to kind of teeth in, and then don't worry, you
yeah.
won't be spending an hour every time.
No, no, just at the beginning, just so you kind of get your feel for it. And some people will adapt faster, some people it'll take a lot longer. We're very lucky where I work, they have lesson plans for us, but I find that a lot of the activities wouldn't really work with my class. So I adapt and I make it my own. But there are lesson plans ready to go. They're really supportive. They have PowerPoints ready. If you wanted to use those, you can as well. Obviously, each place you work will be slightly different, but there's a ton of support. Everyone that I know that works in Vietnam has a ton of support at their job to help with all of that.
Perfect. Oh, and what do you enjoy most about teaching English?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's twofold. One, working with kids, because I teach mostly young learners. And I love them so much. They are so hilarious. They're so much fun. You get to be silly. They bring a lot of laughter and joy into my daily life, and which I really like. But two, seeing them, I love teaching reading. That's my skill set that I most focus on, and teaching them the skills of how to read and seeing them learn and be able to read and write sentences independently is so rewarding, because you know that that skill, even though I'm teaching it in English, they'll be able to use that in any language that they choose to learn. So it's that knowing that you're helping them build skills to help their life, or they talk to you about wanting to travel one day and you're giving them the skills to be able to go to school in America or go to the UK or go to Australia to visit their cousin. They're able to communicate because of what they're learning in your class. So I find that very, very valuable.
Wow. Oh, and what does kind of like a typical day in the life of Shannon look like?
Sure. So currently I work 4 days a week. So my teaching hours are 20 hours a week. That's full time. And I work Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So my Wednesday and Friday, I teach from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then Saturday and Sunday are a bit longer. They are 7 a.m. to noon and then 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. But I'm pretty much at the center from 7 to 7 because I stay in lesson plan in that bit in the middle. But on a work day, I wake up around 8:30, should be earlier. It's not 8:30. And I go to the gym, which is empty because everybody else is at work. So it's great. If I need to run any errands, like go to the supermarket or wherever, it's empty because everybody's at work. So I get nice in there really quickly. I'll go to the gym, I'll come home. Sometimes I lesson plan the day of because I didn't plan properly. So I'll sit on the couch and I'll lesson plan a little bit, kind of relax, maybe clean, go meet a friend for coffee, go for lunch. And then I get to my center about an hour early before my shift so that I can print everything out, get all my toys, slowly relax into work. That's just my personal preference. We are supposed to be there 15 minutes before, but I like to just relax. Then I teach 2 classes. So I teach from 5 to 7 and then a 10-minute break, 7:10 to 8:40. Come home, order dinner, relax for the evening. If you wanted to go out and explore, you can because you don't work until 5 o'clock. So you have your whole day. If you want to sleep in, you can. If you don't, you want to have a productive day, you can. And then the weekends are a bit more intense, but it's only 2 intense days a week instead of 5. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, but I'll say you got to pick your battles, and I'll say that sounds like a delightful day.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll say, do you get kind of any chance to kind of explore or sightsee or anything like that when you're in Vietnam?
Yeah. So I'm here with my husband. He's also teaching, and we both have Mondays off. So Monday is our travel day. And we live in Ho Chi Minh City. So there's a ton of stuff to do around here. So every Monday we'll go explore a different district, or we'll go temple hopping, or we'll do a food tour, we'll do something travel-y. We have traveled just a little bit within Vietnam, actually just up to Hoi An and Da Nang over Tet. We've done more international travel, actually, which is really surprising because we thought we would travel through Vietnam more. But Vietnam is such an easy travel hub. So we've been to Thailand and Malaysia already, and we're hopefully going to Cambodia this month or next, and Laos as well, because everything is like a 2-hour flight from Vietnam. So it's so easy to just go for a few days, go here for a few days. And we've had a lot of friends actually come visit us, which has been really nice because Vietnam's super hot right now and everybody's taking their honeymoon here. So we've had 2 different people on honeymoons come visit us. And then another friend flew over from Korea because it's super easy. So we haven't traveled through Vietnam that much just yet, but we plan to. We've kind of focused more on bigger international trips. Because one great perk too, I don't know how, depending on where you work, obviously each job is different, but we get 20 vacation days, 20 holiday days, something like that. I think 18 or 20 paid holiday annual leave, which means we get to go travel, which is fantastic. So we're trying to use them up. But within Vietnam, like, because Vietnam is actually huge. People think it's quite small. It is super long. So to go from Ho Chi Minh City to Hanoi takes 2.5 or 3 days on a train. So we took a
Wow.
train to Hanoi, or no, not sorry, to Hoi An, which is in the middle. And that was 20 hours on a sleeper train. And that's only to the middle. So traveling, if you fly, obviously it's faster, but we like the more authentic experience of taking the train. You get to see the countryside. But it does take a bit longer, which is why we haven't traveled as much within Vietnam.
Don't worry, you're staying on for another year. You'll have
Yeah,
plenty of
we have
time.
loads of
Plenty of
time,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, and finally, what do you love most about living in Vietnam? Any tips for people kind of living abroad for the first time?
Yeah, I think it's, there's always something new and exciting to see, to go see, to taste, new people to meet, new religions to experience, like, there's always new experiences. And just as you start to think, oh, I've kind of got this country figured out, you go over here and it's totally different than what you thought, or you meet someone who surprises you and is really, really kind out of nowhere. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is still different. And it's just that constant like adventure. You're constantly on an adventure. And even the daily life, like I was saying, my daily life includes a coconut now. That's crazy to me. Even I'm from California and we don't have coconuts, and Ireland definitely doesn't have coconuts. So things like that you get to just adventure through. And people here have been absolutely lovely. I cannot express enough how friendly people are and how good the level of English is. So when I lived in Korea, I had to learn Korean because I couldn't communicate at restaurants or taxis or a lot of places. People didn't speak English, or if they did, they didn't want to speak English. So it was up to me to learn Korean if I wanted to get around. But in Vietnam, everybody speaks English. It's
Wow.
it's almost bizarre because you're like, we're out in the middle of nowhere. How do you guys know English? And if they don't, people are so friendly and helpful and willing to mime and work it out with you to get what you need. And like people have just been so extremely friendly here to a level I guess I wasn't expecting people to be so friendly towards foreigners, and they just really, really are. And it's wonderful. And it's just really lovely.
It sounds delightful. It's great to know that, like Vietnam, even though you may not speak Vietnamese, that's not necessarily a barrier for getting around. You
No,
can still
zero.
communicate with everyone, maybe a little bit more patience than others, but you're actually able to communicate with everyone.
Yeah. Obviously, learning the language is a massive plus and it will help you. And like I order my coffees or a little bit of my food in Vietnamese, but it is not a barrier at all for life here. So I wouldn't worry at all if you're thinking, I don't know Vietnamese, and you don't need it for teaching at all because it's full immersion in English. So you're warned against speaking Vietnamese. So even if you do know it, you don't use it in the classroom. And in your daily life, if you choose to learn it, that's excellent, but it's not necessary. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for answering our questions. We both say we're gonna have a small Q&A afterwards, so we may call upon you again.
Of course,
Um,
happy to chat.
and we were gonna have Lawrence, who was on our 5-month program with us today, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So we're gonna be sending you guys an email after this. Um, and it will also include a kind of VIP coupon code for joining, which is super awesome, which I'll go through in a second. But we'll also get a link to his amazing little video that he made for us. So you're able to see his experience for his 5-month Vietnam internship program. So what we're doing for everyone who's joined is that we have a kind of VIP discount code. If you use 150 Vietnam, you'll get 150 euro, US dollars, pounds, and 3,000 rand off the payment. So I think at the moment it's 799 euro. With the code, it'll be 649. And yeah, so I'll say if you don't have to write it down just now, it'll be in the email once we finish with the webinar. So just a kind of small summary. Applications are open now up until the 10th of October. So we have enough time to process documents. Once you apply, fill in the application form. Within 2 or 3 working days, we'll send it out to our partners who can process it. You'll need to provide a photo and short video introducing yourself, and there's no interview after that. Once you're accepted, you can start preparing for your documents. What's great about this placement, once again, that was previously mentioned, is that it's only 5 months. Not very often do you have to be able to test the waters to see if you like an experience or not. And with this program, you actually do have the opportunity of signing a contract afterwards as well, if you'd like to stay there, which is really amazing. If you're more interested in our 12 months program, Vietnam placement, please do send an email to either hello@tefl.ie or hello@teflinstitute.com, and we could organize for a personal call to tell you more information. So yeah, finally, I believe some people throughout this have been kind of putting in questions in the chat. So yeah, we'll just have a quick look through them. Now, hi Shannon, love hearing. Can I just ask if you were able to save up while you were there, or did you need a lot of saving?
Yeah, so I will say right now I'm able to save now that I've been here for some time. At the start, you do need savings, 100%, because you won't be paid until your first month of working, right? So you work a month and then you're paid. And I believe with the internship accommodations included, but for me it wasn't. So I needed 2 months deposit plus rent for an apartment and food and anything fun we wanted to do, because obviously it's a new country and you want to go see everything and do stuff. So you definitely need savings. TEFL was able to help me and tell me exactly what I needed to be on budget and make sure I was okay. So they'll help you with all of that, but you will need a little bit of savings to go. But once you start working, the salary is very nice for the quality of living. Like Vietnam is extremely affordable, really, really affordable, especially if you're eating local food. So if I go and I eat local Vietnamese food, it's usually between $1 and $2 a meal, versus if I eat Western food, it's closer to like $7 or $8 a meal, which is still really good. Like today we ordered a ton of sushi and it cost us $10, 10 euro for a ton of sushi, which you can't get that in Ireland. Like, so it's still very affordable. Your transportation is dirt cheap. Housing is super affordable. Food is really affordable. So you will be able to save, but not straight away, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And funnily enough, Leroy actually asked another question that feeds into that really nicely. Is accommodation provided, or did you have to find it yourself? For the 5-month program, it is kind of provided for you. So that might even kind of subsidize being able to save in it as well.
Yeah.
Because we won't have to do the 2 months in advance. You'll be able to just kind of move in thanks to our partners.
Oh, that's amazing. And
so thank you very much, Leroy, for those questions.
Yeah, so you'll be able to just move straight into your apartment, maybe get a blanket, and you'll be good to go.
And I think the best part about it, which is kind of underrated, is that you're surrounded with, you're going into a building with other TEFL teachers. So you might not be sharing the same room, but all your neighbors are all TEFL teachers in the exact same position as you are. So you'll be able to, actually when you're talking with people, you'll have similar interests, at least in teaching English. So you're not just stranded there by yourself as well. Sebastian asked, are you happy with your choice of Ho Chi Minh City, or do you know what it might be like in Hanoi. That
Um,
is definitely for you.
yeah. So I'm really happy in Ho Chi Minh City, but I also haven't been to Hanoi yet. So I could go up there and absolutely love it and be like, oh my gosh, we should move here next. Personally, I like Ho Chi Minh City because I like always having a new restaurant, new cafe, a new place to go visit. And Ho Chi Minh City is like there's thousands of restaurants and cafes. I think Hanoi is very similar. It's a little bit more like small feeling, not so crazy as Ho Chi Minh City. So I have friends that have gone up there and they love it. They didn't like Ho Chi Minh City and they love Hanoi. Um, it, yeah, I'm happy. I think anywhere you go here, as long as you're kind of flexible and able to adapt, you're going to be happy.
Cool,
And
perfect.
I
Thank you.
actually think the internship is in Haiphong as well, right?
Yes.
So there were a few people
Yes.
on my orientation that went to Haiphong, and they said that was a lovely town. It's definitely more of a village feel than a city feel. So if you're not into the big city thing, that's a great location for you. It's close to the beach, you're close to Halong Bay, you're close to Hanoi. So if you like that buzz vibe, definitely Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi. If you want something a little bit quieter, Haiphong would be great.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Callum asked, do you need to complete a TEFL course before you go? Yes, you would. It would need to be completed before you start your orientation. However, what it is included in the whole package. And since we needed 3 months for the documentation, it's normally never an issue. Because you'll still have a minimum requirement of 3 months, and for the 120 hour, it takes around on average about 4 to 6 weeks to complete. So it should be no problem at all, Callum. Thank you for your question. Kanuya asked, can any nationality apply for the program? As mentioned earlier, there's, I'll say, actually, no, nationality is kind of one thing. It's kind of more important from where your passport is registered from. So if it's registered from New Zealand, England, Ireland, Australia, America, you will have no problems. If not, then I would contact either hello@tefl.ie or hello@tefl.com, and they will be able to get you onto an advisor and kind of help you out in your own personal case to hopefully try and get you on the program. Do we have kind of any further questions for either myself or for Shannon? No need to be shy, everyone. I've heard that you need flights both in and then back out of the country. Is that true? You would supply your own flights. The flights aren't included in the sale in the price. So absolutely. I'm not entirely certain about flights back, just because you can extend your contract. So Sebastian, if you actually email us at kind of hello@tefl.ie or hello@tefl.com, we'll be able to kind of help you out. Oh, is it more common to have daytime hours or evening hours like Shannon? I'll say, I believe Shannon's the perfect person to answer this question.
Sure. So it totally depends where you work. So if you're in a private language center like I am, it's evenings and weekends. If you're at a public school, it's daytime, like 7 to 4, 8 to 4, that kind of time frame. And if you're at a university, then it could be either. I have friends that teach from 6 to 9 a.m. I have friends that teach from 9 to 12, and I have friends that teach in the evenings. So it just totally depends where you work. But whatever schedule you like best, you can let them know your preferences and they'll try to put you in that type of work environment.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much, David, for your question. Teacher Ray Education says they have a question. What is it? Many native teachers are getting hired blindly in Vietnam to teach science and math by local organizations. By local, but actually science and arts are both different subjects. How can it be justified and how it can be managed? Do you have any future plan to start such courses? Yeah, go for it.
So if I can just provide insight, the science and math classes, you need to have a master's in those subjects to teach, and they're usually at international schools, which is very different to any kind of English language teaching like we're doing here. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. They're not just taking someone who thinks that they're an English teacher and putting them in a math role. There are math and science classes if that's your specialty. Absolutely, that's available, but they're not really mixed. That's a very specialty thing that you have to go to the correct organization with the correct qualifications to get that job, if that makes sense. Which would be not really in the scope of TEFL.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shannon, for answering that. So David has another question, slightly off topic, but I have a Spanish friend who's also interested in Vietnam. Shannon, in your experience, have you come across many Spanish ELEs teachers?
Spanish, particularly no, but like my manager is Colombian. We have a lot of people from Mexico, a lot of people from Egypt and Turkey, and where else do we have? Basically, they do hire non-native speakers, but it, again, as Leo mentioned, it depends where your passport is from. And if you're not a native speaker, you need an additional qualification of a C1 level in basically proving your ability to speak fluent English.
Yeah, about to say if your friend David is able to he would have to do that kind of extra step. But other than that, it would be no problem at all. He would still, we'd be able to kind of accommodate for such. Just on that'll be more on a case by case basis. What does the orientation consist of? But say it kind of consists of kind of cultural classes, Vietnam language classes, and a few kind of a bit more guides to kind of teaching, kind of to get you into that kind of teaching rhythm. So, but say, am I missing anything at all, Shannon, from your experience?
Yeah, so our orientation week, it was from Monday to Friday, and it was a wonderful mix of history lessons. Because I don't know about you guys, but I know where I come from, my high school didn't really teach that much on Vietnam's history other than the war. But Vietnam has a couple thousand-year-old history, so that was really interesting to learn. We had the Vietnamese language classes, we had a cooking class, we did excursions, we went to a few museums. We did a teaching day at a charity school, which was really, really wonderful. It was on the Friday, the last day. So we were kind of preparing for that all week, where we went into a public school that doesn't often have English teachers and got to teach a class to about 40 students. And then at nighttime, we were there from maybe 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. Then at night, it was up to you. You could go out on your own, or you could go with everyone to go eat. And then on the Friday, we had a big welcome dinner. And we're actually this Sunday, in a few days, we're doing a big 1-year meetup with the same orientation group as like it's been almost a year. How's everybody doing? So we still all keep in touch, which has been so helpful settling in here, especially if you were by yourself. Like sometimes I had challenges and I'm here with my husband. So I can't imagine if you're here alone. Sometimes you feel lonely. You want to go explore. You don't want to go by yourself. So the orientation is a great way to meet people who are in the same boat as you. They understand what you're going through, probably have the same hours, probably have the same struggles at work, and they make really great friends.
Yeah, I think the biggest point is that the kind of orientation week not only kind of helps you adapt culturally, but also in teaching, and also it kind of helps you out socially as well. So there's loads of social events, loads for helping you get into teaching, loads of activities to kind of help you engrave yourself in the Vietnamese culture, which is great. Perfect. Jaziri, can we teach once we get the 120-hour certificate, or do we need the 180-hour certificate? Thank you. For this particular internship, you would only need to complete the 120-hour course certificate to be able to kind of teach on the internship. Just looking at anything else. Do you need a university degree to be eligible? It's a great question, Callum, that I get all the time. Unfortunately, you do need the degree to be eligible. It's not necessarily for the school, but it is for the visas. So unfortunately, it's one of those kind of non-negotiables that we can't really work around. But it is a great question. What do you have to do for the legalization? Thank you, Sebastian. Great contributor today. For the legalization, it's well, you would need to get the most important part for your degree is for it to get translated. That's a big one, and then that gets we would take them in and we would take them to our kind of legalization partner. You can legalize it and then it'll be returned to you, so we can put it as part of your application. But say the most that you'd have to do is actually just get a physical copy of it, and then we kind of support you and assist you throughout the rest, nearly kind of taking it off your hands, which is, I think, a really nice part of doing the internship rather than doing the job. Small parts like that, and that's for your visas. It's not necessarily for the job itself.
Yeah,
Go
even
for
if
it, Shannon.
I yeah, if I can chime in too. I had to get because my name on my degree doesn't match, no, sorry, not my degree, on my TEFL doesn't match my passport. It doesn't have my middle name. And for Vietnam, everything has to match your passport exactly. And I was freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And the TEFL Institute was so helpful. Annalise was so helpful. I felt so bad. I was on the phone to her every day. And she was able to get me a rush ordered new certificate with the proper name on it so that I could get everything off to Vietnam on time. And like, had I not done the internship, that wouldn't have been possible. You know, and the relationship with TEFL and being able to call and be like, oh my gosh, please help me. And someone actually helping you. That, to me, that's invaluable. And it was the difference between us making it on time or not. So like, I highly, highly recommend going through an organization like this to just help almost like hold your hand, because it's scary, it's hard, right? We don't live in other countries often. It's hard to know what to do. And they're experts and they just guide you and take it off your hands, make it so much easier.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Oh, oh, how about a legalized TEFL certificate? Can you apostle if it certificates are already delivered in Vietnam and applicant, any discount on it? Unfortunately, I'm not entirely certain exactly what you are referring to, but please feel free to kind of email us to see how we can help out. Okay. Yeah, wow, 30 minutes max, and we are 40 minutes later. Always the way, always the way. So yeah, thank you so much, Shannon, for coming on and kind of helping not only answer some of my questions, but also their questions too. We really appreciate it.
Of course, I'm super happy to answer anything. I did, like I said, I did the year in Korea, and now I'm almost finished with my year in Vietnam. So if anybody has any questions that you think of maybe after, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. That's the best way to reach me. I'll put my handle in here. And please send me any messages, any questions. I'm happy to help. I post a lot about my life here, my travels, all of that stuff. If you want to just kind of take a look and see like, oh, what does a daily life in Vietnam look like? Please feel free. Send me a message. Happy to help. And do it. Do it. If you're worried about, oh, I don't know, just do it. Just do it. Go. Please go. It's so wonderful. It's life-changing and phenomenal. And if you don't like it, it's only 5 months. You'll be forever changed for the better. So just go.
Well, I don't think I can top that ending. So yeah, thank you so much for joining everyone. And do remember, we're going to be sending out kind of a small email for not only that code, but also for Lawrence as well, who, just like Shannon, has included his Instagram handle if you have any questions for him too. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining our webinar today. We really appreciate it, and all the questions too. All right, bye, everyone.
Right. Bye.
I'll ask